And welcome back to the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Stern, coming to you live from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It is 10:50 in the morning, 7:50 out on the West Coast here. So just some news coming into the feed right now. Serena won the Wimbledon title, winning 6-4, 6-4 over Gabrine Muguruza, something like that.
Sure.
So she has her 21st major title, wins 4th straight major. Of course, the Serena Slam, as it's known. Pretty impressive. There. So some other news as well in soccer. USA defeated Haiti 1-0 last night in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, and Honduras Panama tied 1-1. Pretty impressive for Serena, though. I mean, it's her 21st title. Again, she's probably going to go arguably as one of the best ever to play. Again, the matches between her and Venus are always fantastic to watch, especially when they're at the top of their game. And the fact that she's in her mid to late 30s at this point goes to show you that the longevity, not just, again, the consistency and the longevity is pretty impressive. That's a feat that is very hard to do, especially in tennis, especially when most players retire about maybe probably 30, if that. So, Tom, your thoughts on Serena?
Just pretty much a dominant performance throughout whole Wimbledon. Just impressive with what she has done throughout the calendar year right now. Something special to look forward to for Serena is that there have been only 3 other players to do this. Williams needs to win the U.S. Open to complete the 4th calendar Grand Slam in women's tennis history. Only 3 other women have done that, and it hasn't happened since 1988 by Steffi Graf. In 1970, Margaret Court, who is or was one of the most dominant women to play tennis as well. And 1953 by Maureen Connolly, who was also a very dominant tennis player in her time. So I'm eager to see if she can actually complete this task.
Okay, cool. So now we're going to talk about some free agency, NBA. It's been pretty hectic the last couple of weeks. Again, deals weren't finalized until just this week, so they were actually able to put ink on that paper. So honestly, I mean, a lot of free agents were lost. I mean, I'm going to start out with Portland. I'm going to start with my team out there. They lost about 80% of their starting lineup. Obviously, LaMarcus Aldridge is a big one, going to the Spurs for a max deal. I'm not surprised. No one was surprised, really. During his time there, look, he brought the team from, and I posted this on Facebook as well, when he got in there, they were a team that was essentially a laughingstock. They were the quote-unquote jailblazers at that time. A lot of the team was not that great. And then all of a sudden, they became a playoff team. The one thing that they couldn't do is just get past the second round, mainly because of injuries. That's the only problem that they had. They were a great team. They were one of those teams that they weren't an A playoff team, but they were a B playoff team. What that means is they have to have everything right for them to get to the finals. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. And so, of course, LaMarcus leaves. Batum gets traded. Nicholas Batum gets traded to the Charlotte Hornets. And then Wesley Matthews signs with Dallas, and then Brook Lopez signs with the Knicks. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Dame Lillard did sign a max deal. I think it was 5 years, $110 million, something in that ballpark, 120. Who cares? It's, $10 million more.
2-year contract. D. Williams.
No, Dame.
Oh, man.
Dame Lillard.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting to see Lillard wants to stay there, obviously. That's evident. But it's going to be interesting to see the type of talent that they're going to bring around him. Al-Farouq Aminu, brought over from Dallas. He signed a deal. And then they gave a max offer to Enes Kanter, which I thought, again, for me, it's a little bit much. Just because I think he did do pretty well in Oklahoma City last season, I'm not sure if he's a max player. I just don't think he's that type of player yet. He's close. He's capable of that, of producing really well, but I just haven't seen enough consistency from him to produce pretty well. Honestly, and again, the Spurs really have done well this offseason. I mean, when you get LaMarcus Aldridge, who, for me, it's similar in the sense that for the Colts, where you get Peyton Manning and then you get Andrew Luck. I mean, you have Timmy right now, who signed a 1-year, $5 million contract. So that's how much he really cares about this team, and he cares about championships. It goes to show you right there that he cares more about winning than money. And let's be honest, Tim Duncan's made a lot of money throughout his career. I'm sure he's not hurting for cash. But again, it's nice to show that it's nice to see that leadership with him is consistent throughout his career. So I mean, he's giving money away so other players can come in. And then on top of that, David West, who could have made $12 million with the Indiana Pacers, declined it and decided to go to the Spurs for the veteran minimum of I think 1.5. So again, for some players back into their career, it's just about winning. LaMarcus winning, David West winning, Timmy winning. Sometimes, again, when you make millions of dollars, it's not a big deal. I think you'll be fine. You know, you can buy another house later, or buy another couple cars later. But right now, they know that their window's closing. So hey, time to win a championship. I mean, Tom, what do you have on your teams in NBA that you know anyway?
Well, some of the top headlines that I've seen so far is that DeAndre Jordan, he's been back and forth with uh, the Mavericks, and he actually just apologized publicly through Twitter, not through, TV or anything like LeBron James would do. But he publicly tweeted to Mark Cuban that he's one of the best owners in the world and that he publicly apologizes for having a change of heart. I understand that he wants to win and that players do have certain, I wouldn't say attributes, but I would say they have a certain special spot for the places that they play in. Mavericks, he may not have fit in Dallas. I don't know. I know Tyson Chandler wasn't going to be there. He was moved to the Phoenix Suns, which was a good move for Chandler, I think. But I think I'm glad that DeAndre Jordan stayed because I think he has a good. He's got great teammates, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin around him, and I think that they do have a special bond. The big three in Clipper Nation. Another one that I saw that was surprising to me because I've been a Phoenix Suns fan for a while and I've been watching Amari Stoudemire bounce around, but apparently he did get a one-year contract signed with the Heat. So I actually want to see him play with D Wade and see what happens down there. So
Yeah, I mean the Heat actually look pretty good. If you ask me, I think they're a team that of the teams in the East, which is pretty pathetic at conference to be honest. They're the team that is probably improved the most. I mean, if you look at their roster, it's not bad at all. I mean, you have Chris Bosh coming back. Then you have Udonis Haslem still there. Hassan Whiteside could probably be one of the best centers in the NBA. And then you draft a player like Justice Winslow in the first round, who is a hybrid player. He plays offensively and defensively very well. He's very athletic. And you re-sign Dragic. That's a really good deal. Luol Deng opts into his contract. They signed Gerald Green, Amari Stoudemire, as you mentioned, and then they bring back Dwayne Wade. So they didn't really lose any players at this point. So Miami Heat, they are a team that could probably compete with the Cavaliers if again, they're a B team, playoff team. Again, they have to have everything go right, really, for them to get to the finals. But that'd be an interesting matchup to see them play well. In the draft, though, again, the big deal that was made was with the Knicks, obviously. Knicks is a big market, and with the Lakers as well. They were two big market teams that were in the lottery for the first time, for the first time in about 35 years. So it's pretty interesting kind of seeing those franchises try to rebuild now. And at this point, honestly, I mean, you can't pitch, hey, you're welcome to LA, welcome to New York. You're gonna be in tons of commercials. You could be in tons of Hollywood things. And let's be honest, it's 2015. You don't have to be in a big market anymore to be a big time star. Kevin Durant, you see those ads from Sonic, and you see Adidas ads, and you see he's in a bunch of ads, and he plays in Oklahoma. So really pitching LA, New York, hey, you could be a star. You could be a star anywhere. So for me, at the teams in the East, Miami again would probably be the best. In the West, honestly, I'm probably going to go with the Spurs. I mean, again, getting LaMarcus, that's a huge deal. Getting David West, that's going to be by far the deepest front court in the NBA in terms of experience. And again, any given night, they could probably each score 20 points. So that'll be impressive. And as well as the Clippers. So with them getting DeAndre Jordan back, it's going to be pretty good to see that front court again, and then add Paul Pierce. And he played pretty well in the playoffs. I mean, he's 38, 39 years old, and to still play at that high level. He was the go-to guy for the Wizards on a team that you have Bradley Beal and John Wall in. He was the player. So for me, that's who I would pick out of the West. That's improved the most. What do you got?
I'm opinionated on this, and I know that you have more NBA knowledge than I do. But I see the Cavaliers being the team to beat once again. I see them going to the finals. I wish my Chicago Bulls, were going to be going, but with uncertainty with how they drafted and the players on the team, because I'm a little bit frustrated with the point guard position right now. That's just me. With Derrick Rose and his knees, his powder knees, because he's been having so many problems with them. I still think the Cavaliers will definitely be going to the finals. For the West, I can see the Spurs. So I can see LeBron going up against the Spurs again. So I think with his mental status and his memory of the Spurs, he can definitely help the Cavaliers win a championship. So.
Okay, I mean, honestly, that's really good points there. And obviously, you have the Knicks pulled up, so I'm going to talk about them right now. With the Knicks, again, Carmelo, we'll see how he does. The big deal was drafting Kristaps Porzingis. I think he was draft number 4 in the draft. Everyone thought that maybe Russell could fall that far, and then he didn't. He fell. He rose up pretty well in the last couple of mock drafts, and then obviously he goes number 2. And then he gets hurt in his first practice, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes. I like Porzingis. I actually like the fact that they picked him. I mean, he has the potential to be Dirk. Obviously, the downside is that he could be Darko. So realistically, you obviously don't want to hope that. And again, if he could turn out to be half as good as Dirk, that's still a pretty good career if you ask me. And the fact that they also got Jaren Grant from Notre Dame, Bowie product in Maryland, he's not a bad player. He's a 4-year guy, and obviously the NBA doesn't draft those guys anymore, but he's a guy that if you watch the NCAA tournament, he's a leader on and off the court, and he knows how to play the game. So obviously he's not going to be one of those guys like Porzingis where you're going to need 2-3 years to develop. He'll be ready to go right now. So that'll be pretty good there. And then adding Aflalo, adding Robin Lopez, and adding Derek Williams, that provides pretty good depth to a team that's lacking it right now. So let's be honest. I mean, I think that the Knicks are going to be a team that will improve, and I think they'll be better. Obviously, being in Pennsylvania, let's talk about the Sixers. Drafting Jahlil Okafor. Again, they drafted the best player available on the board at that time, no doubt. But the fact that they really needed a guard, come on. I mean, when you have, unless you're really not sold on Embiid, who hasn't played a single minute in the NBA yet, and again, he has tweeted way more than played. So I don't know. For me, he needs to shut down that Twitter account, and he needs to start playing. So Embiid, Okafor, and then, I mean, I'm looking at the lineup here. Like, how many names do you really recognize? Nerlens Noel, Isaiah Cannon, Tony Wroten, Hollis Thompson. I mean, these are players that probably will not make any other roster in the league, and yet they're still here. I mean, Jason Richardson is an unrestricted free agent, obviously. And that's probably the most familiar name and the one with the most experience on this team, by far. So it'll be kind of interesting how that works. And then drafting J.P. Tokoto from North Carolina, I thought that was a pretty solid deal with them. Getting Carl Landry, getting Nick Stauskas and Jason Thompson, I mean, that's going to be okay. I think, again, Stauskas is a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's good. So for the Sixers, I mean, I expect them not to make the playoffs again, still be in the lottery. But maybe a step in the right direction. It's just, for me, I guess I think the hashtag, if I'm not mistaken, was trust the process, which is ridiculous because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's been 3 years of this. So, I mean, how many more years are Philadelphia fans going to be continuing to pay season tickets? At this point, just make it free until they actually have a decent team, if you ask me. Just because I think it's pointless to have a team like that. Still, the one funny thing, obviously, that's been going on is the story of Luke Rindauer. This guy has been on 5 NBA rosters within a week span. Traded to 5 NBA teams.